I devoutly wish that your latter days may be as prosperous and happy as your former ones have been, glorious and honorable. George Washington said this to his officers at Francis Tavern in New York City on December 4th, 1783. Understanding that our past, whatever it may be to us, is either happy or we work through things, but our future can still be glorious and honorable. The psychology of George Washington. George Washington also said to his mother, Mary Ball Washington, that happiness depends more upon the internal frame of one's own mind than the externals of the world. George Washington said this on February 15th, 1787, meaning that there are so this crazy stuff in the world, things that divide people on cultural things, and things that divide people externally with family or coworkers or friends. But it's all about you. It's more, I think this is more of a stoic message that George Washington had to his mother, who was complaining in a letter to him, and then he was responding to her. So George Washington was all about psychology before psychology was a thing. Another thing about George Washington is he said to the officers of the Virginia Regiment on January 8th, 1756, that remember that it is the actions, not the commission, that make the officer, and that there is more expected of him than title. George Washington understood that when you get a title, it doesn't matter what title it is, it matters what you do with that title. Your actions speak louder than words or titles could ever bear. Now, George Washington also said some other great psychology things. One of them is in a letter to his nephew Bushrod Washington on January 15th, 1783. Do not conceive that fine clothes make fine men any more than fine feathers make fine birds. George Washington understood it doesn't matter how well you speak as a politician or how well you speak as a person to other people, you can still be a rotten soul. That's just the way it is. And George Washington understood that. Where there is not strength and honor, people fall by the wayside to their own inhibitions and their own lusts of the mind. George Washington also said, let me get my notes here, in the same letter to Bushrod Washington, be courteous to all, but intimate with a few, and let those that be well tried before you give them your confidence. Meaning that as we grow through life, not everyone's your friend. Not every coworker you have or everybody you meet is your friend. Be kind and courteous, but that doesn't mean you have to divulge everything that comes out of your mouth or everything that comes out of your brain out of your mouth to other people. You don't have to say everything you think. Sometimes it's just in one ear, out the other. And why we can't keep up with 100 people. I would say, in my opinion, that people probably have, if they really thought about it, 3 to 5 close, tight friends. And my name is John Stuber, and I wrote this book, The Psychology of George Washington, Unraveling the Mind of Our First President, POTUS I. And I want you to understand that if there's one document to understand George Washington's life, it is his farewell address, September 19th, 1796. That is the number one document of George Washington where you can understand his psychology and how he thought about himself, about his family, and the nation which he was the father of the Constitution that we are under today. So thank you for listening, and don't forget to check out my book, The Psychology of George Washington, available on Amazon for $17.76.